Hey, Miles here at Tactical Hyve, and welcome to this week's dry fire and live fire session. If you've been following us the last few weeks, we've been really dialing into a lot of details when it comes to the proper pistol grip. We've talked about grip pressures, what your firing hand should be doing, your left hand, your support hand should be doing, so on and so forth. And believe it or not, there's a lot more details, but that's it for the series for now. That's a lot to work on. And to change gears, we're now going to start talking about multiple target engagements. We're going to take all the fundamentals that we've used or covered, stance, trigger control, grip, and all the other little concepts and techniques and combine them to work on target transitions. So if you're interested in diving into a lot more details than you're probably used to, make sure you stay tuned to this week's live fire and dry fire session. All right, welcome back. So as I mentioned, we are now moving on to a different topic, and that is target transitions, engaging multiple targets. We're going to start off just like we did with the other topics, baby steps. Really make things easy for you to digest and to implement every single week. If I throw everything at you right now, particularly if you're a beginner or intermediate shooter, you're just going to be overwhelmed. You're not going to understand or remember everything, and most likely you're not going to progressively do things, or do things as I teach you in a progressive manner, and you might not get as good as fast as you possibly can. So first thing we're going to talk about with transitions is that everything starts with your eyes. You may have heard this, but I'm going to also share a few things here, all right? So we're going to assume that we're doing things dry first. There are two targets, maybe a target over here and a target over here. Okay, so I'm going to start over here, and I'm dry. I'm going to use the DryFireMag as well, and I do recommend this because now, if you follow the entire series, you can take shots whenever you want to. Whenever your vision indicates that you're on target, break that shot, use your proper trigger control manipulations, reset and prep, use your vision to tell you when to squeeze the trigger, so on and so forth. There's a lot that we've covered, and if you're new to this series, make sure you watch all the videos. We have about maybe 70 videos now in the playlist below. So going back to what I was saying, maybe I'm facing here, a target downrange, okay? I have my DryFireMag so I can squeeze the trigger whenever I want to, and I'm just gonna take two shots for now, okay? And I've reset and prepped. Now let's assume that there's another target over here. You may have heard the saying that your body goes where your eyes go, right? Or wherever you're looking, your body's gonna follow. And so you already understand that instinctively. If you needed to shoot something, you're gonna look at it and then move your gun. But there are two things that I want to drive in, two details. First is, if there's a target here, what I want to do is, I'm not sure if you can see my eyes, I'm going to actually take my iPro out for a second, okay? And if I'm looking here and I have another target over here, okay? If I want to now engage this target, after I've engaged this target over here, I want to lead with my eyes. See how I'm looking out of the corner of my eye first, and then my body follows, my head and my gun follow. That is the more ideal way to do things. It is not to say that you can't do this. This is the next thing comes natural. Some people will kind of turn a little bit. So my eyes are still facing forward. They're following the direction of my nose, okay? And what will happen is, yes, the eyes are going to lead. So I'm still used to moving my eyes first, that it was hard for me. If you watch that, I moved my eyes first within my eye socket and then my head moved. Some people will keep their eyes looking straight. Their gun is still gonna be here, but they move their entire head. That is not wrong, okay? It's just not the most ideal situation there, all right? I'm gonna put my iPro on again. I have prescription lenses here, so I can't really see well without these. So I'm over here, I'm shooting, and if I lead with imagine my eyes are lined up with my nose, if I lead with my nose or my head, okay, my gun tends to be left behind, right? And if it's left behind, when I already identify my target, I'm gonna have to wait for my gun to get to the target to break the shot. Okay, so the very first thing I want you to try and focus on is to lead with your eyes. Try not turning with your head, okay? So you will turn your head. You will be forced to, right? Because your eyes are going to be to its extent. You're going to look out of the corner of your eye. I look at that camera right here. This is my next target. I'm looking out the corner of my eye. So once again, you can see it over here. I'm looking here. I look out of the corner of my eye, and this is going to force me to now turn my head. And when I turn my head, the gun follows. the gun is never left behind. If the gun is left behind, then again, you're going to wait to take another shot. So the key little detail here that we're starting off with is, yes, you lead with your eyes, but lead with your eyes only first. Almost instantaneously, when you lead with your eyes, your head is gonna follow and the rest of your body. So the key differentiator, one more time, just to drive in the point, is if my eyes are looking straight, lined up with my nose, and I wanna now look at that target, I don't wanna keep my eyes straight and then lead with my nose, so now that my eyes are there. So technically that's still leading with your eyes, right? Because my gun is still here, I'm still looking at that, but no, I want my eyes to move first, so now I'm looking at that camera, even though my nose is facing this camera right now, my eyes are facing that camera, then everything follows, okay? So for the dry fire session, it's a very, 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 very little detail that makes a big difference, okay? So there are two things though, that was the first thing, lead with the eyes. Start looking through the corner of your eye, like the extent that you can move your eye in your eye socket and then move your body. The second thing is to make sure that gun is not very far from your line of sight. All right, we've already alluded to it, but let's say I'm staying here and you're my other target here. I break 2 shots here. I do not want to do this, okay? I don't want to turn to look at you and notice my gun is still here, okay? So I want to do 2 things. I want to, again, lead with my eyes, and then the second thing is pretend there is a bungee cord or a string connecting my nose to the gun here. So this gun is never very far from my line of sight, so I could immediately take the shot, all right? We're not going to talk about the footwork yet, what you're doing with your body, all of that matters. Every little thing we're going to add progressively, baby steps. But for the dry fire session here, all you're going to do is you're going to pick 2 targets. Don't go crazy with 3 targets, 4 targets, 5 targets. Don't worry about different distances for your dry fire session until you get this good, all right? Until you're, very proficient. So what I'd like you to start off with is just going to take 1 shot, then transition to a next target, okay? Then I'm going to give you some 2 other variations. So let's say I'm starting over here. I have this target here, I'm gonna take 1 shot. I'm now looking, you may not see it through my eye pro, I can't see if it's dark or not, but I'm now looking at this camera. My head did not move, but I'm looking at this camera. So I break the shot, I look at the next camera, and now I'm going to transition and stop. I do not want to break the shot for now. Okay, for now, this is baby steps, okay? So I might start here, okay, looking at here. I break the shot. Immediately after I break the shot, I'm now looking out of the corner of my eye at this camera. I now keep my eye on that small target that I want to hit. I continue looking at it, and now once my sights are on top, if you're using iron sights, then you can shift your focus to the front sight if you want to. If you're using a red dot, you immediately break the shot once it overlays your target, okay? Actually, I got ahead of myself. For this first variation, you're not breaking a shot on the second target. So it looked just like this. That's it, okay? That's it. What we're trying to do on the back end here is not undershoot or overshoot. This is why you need to look at what you're aiming at. You need to look where you're going. I look, then try to get that sight right exactly where I'm looking. Try not to undershoot it or overshoot it. That is the first variation. The second variation would be, I'm just gonna use this side now, pretend there's a target here and then you're the next target. I'm gonna do the same thing, but now I'm looking at the corner of my eye after I break the shot. My gun is lined up. I'm ready to take another shot as I'm moving. I'm resetting and prepping, and we'll drive in that point later on in the future. But I break the shot, I'm looking at you, I move, now I break the second shot. That is the second level. So depending on your skill level, you can add that or you can fast forward to the second variation. The third variation is using a timer now, okay? The timer, you're going to do the same exact thing you're doing, all right? 1 shot, or 1 shot, 1 shot, but now you're going to time yourself. Notice we're just doing single shots for now, right? I don't know what your skill level is. You might be a brand new beginner, so we're working from the ground up. And for those who are more experienced, you could add double shots, you can do 3 targets, but the key detail there again is, and this is not often taught, is lead with your eyes, meaning don't turn your entire head, lead with the eyes first, everything else will follow, okay? So now with a buzzer, it's very simple. You're going to now react and try to, if you have a timer like the Shooter's Global Smart Timer, you can pick up the dry fire shots, and then the whole goal is to try to get faster and faster while maintaining accuracy. You determine accuracy by whether or not your sights moved when they are on target. So it looks something like this. Very, very simple here. I can start from high ready or the draw. Okay, that's it. Now I got my time, and that would be a baseline, and now I'm trying to beat that the next time, all right? If you want to do it from the holster, you can. So very simple dry fire session, but remember that little key detail I shared with you does not come naturally for a lot of people. They will tend to turn their entire head. So now just lead with the eyes, literally from the corner. Look out the corner of your eye, and then everything else will follow. All right, now let's dive into the live fire session. All right, so I have some steel targets 12 yards away, but it doesn't really matter what what you're shooting. You just need at least 2 targets. And we're gonna do the same exact thing we did dry, but now live fire without a timer first. And you are going to take that shot. So that does add some anxiety, some stress for some shooters, particularly if you're a beginner. And so that will be a test. But the main thing here is, at least for this week, remember what we're doing is after we break the first shot on the first target we're aiming at, move your eyes first, just your eyes, okay, to the next target. I'm gonna pick another plate. I'll talk it through first. Then after I find that next plate with my eyes, I now begin to move my body, reset my trigger, and just stop. So you're not gonna take that second shot. So it looks something like this. We'll start very slow first. I'm gonna shoot the spinner. Okay, I'm gonna talk this one through. I break the shot. After I break the shot, my eyes have now turned to look, I've moved my eyes to look at the furthest steel plate on the right, okay? So I'm gonna do that one more time and I'll talk it through. I break the shot. I am now looking, didn't turn my head, but I'm now looking at the last plate. Right after I took the shot, my eyes are now looking at that right furthest plate on the steel rack. So at this point, I'm going to now move the gun, get it lined up, and stop. That would be my rep. So I'm gonna flow through one rep as it would look, the first variation. So I'm gonna shoot the star here, stop right at the plate. Okay, do it one more time. What I'm looking for are a few things. One, I need to really make sure I'm leading with my eyes. So even before I turn my head, I'm looking out of the corner of my eye. And 2, look to see if you're undershooting or overshooting that plate. What you want to try to do is avoid that, right? And we're going to dive into that more. Remember, baby steps. We'll dive into that in future weeks. But for now, try to go at a speed where you're not going to overshoot it or undershoot. So one more time, the first variation, I break the shot, and I'm right there on the plate. Now we move on to the second variation. This is the same thing, but now we are going to take that second shot. Okay? I break the shot, look at the corner of my eye, break the other shot. Every time I do this, every time I do these reps, this is a great time to reinforce all the fundamentals we've covered in this series. So even though we're now moving on to transitions, target transitions, you want to stop after you finish a rep, make sure you have a good grip, all that stuff, okay? So one more time, I would break my shot, move, break the other shot. You don't even have to go that very fast. All I want you to do is try to go smooth in the beginning here, okay? So try not to have choppy movements. Once you're comfortable with that, you can begin to speed it up a little bit, but I don't want you to go too crazy because we have a lot of details that we're gonna be covering in the incoming weeks, right? But now the third variation, for those of you who are a little bit more advanced, is now you're just going to break out the shot timer and do the same thing, but now you're establishing a baseline. Okay, so that was a 1-7-3. So, I might do that a dozen times, then establish a baseline, and then whatever my time is, next dozen reps or so, I'm trying to speed things up. This is for those of you who are a little more advanced. If you're just starting, don't worry about that. But 1-7-3, I would try to beat that. That was a 1-7-9. I actually knew that would be slower because on my initial presentation, you may have seen this, I lost my dot, all right? So I wasn't really focused there. So let's try it one more time. Okay, so that was a 150. So I'm happy with that. It's faster and still got my hits. So 3 variations for target transitions, dry and live. 2 details we're focusing on. We are focusing on leading with the eyes, look out the corner of the eye, and then don't let that gun be left behind. Work on just those 2 details, and then next week we're gonna add on to it incrementally. Hope you guys liked it. If you did, please give us a thumbs up and let us know if you have any questions in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys next week.